That's what collectivization does. Instead of allowing individuals to thrive as individual human beings and work together as partners working together towards something, instead it forces people into something they didn't want, and terrible things are going to happen from that.
Why?
Why is that?
Yeah, for the person who hears this
Yes.
and isn't familiar with history,
who's never heard of what happens when you do this, yes.
because our schools don't teach anything
That's
other
correct,
than the
yeah.
Nazis were bad. That's
Which
the
is,
closest
I
we
mean,
get.
at least they got that part right. Yeah.
But they were also like free enterprise right wingers or something.
Of course, yeah.
But why? What's your understanding of the reasons, the underlying reasons why seeing the world through the lens of sort of groups, class, as Marx would see it,
Yeah.
tribe?
Yeah.
Why does that end up being bad? Isn't that our nature? We're tribal creatures. We evolved in groups. It's sort of built into the cake of humanity, right?
So to some extent, it is our nature. It also serves us poorly. Maybe at some point it served us well. When we were hunter-gatherers and our tribe was essentially an extended family, right? And we're, trying to protect our scarce resources that we just hunted and gathered from this other family that shows up nearby. Then maybe it did serve us for the first 100,000 years of our existence. Well, that's not us now, right? Like we are now living together in this industrialized, information-laden age with increasingly non-scarce resources because of any attempts that we had to get away from that. Like when you look at all of industry, when you look at all of free enterprise, it goes away from collectivism and towards individualism. Human beings are motivated by incentives. And so when you have an incentive structure that says you're going to get what you're going to get regardless of what you do or don't do, why do? Why do more? If you're told you can work as hard as you possibly can and you're going to get every bit as much as someone who's done nothing, well, just from a calories in, calories out survival perspective, our lizard brain is saying, I'm doing nothing then. I'm going to make sure that I make it out through this. And especially as a result of that, the resources get more and more scarce, people do less and less. So we're actually going against what we would naturally do, which is to try to produce more to fight that scarcity. We're doing the opposite, saying, I'm not going to expend. There's less and less to have. So collectivism is a perverse incentive structure. When implemented as policy, it ends up turning into a perverse incentive structure that encourages failure. If instead you model it on when you succeed, you're going to reap the benefits of that. When you fail, you're going to suffer the consequences of that. We can choose to help you in those moments if you truly reach a point of destitution. And since we all have that nature, or most of us have that nature of wanting to help people, you should be okay. But if you fail, that's on you. And if you don't do anything, that's on you. And we're probably less likely to want to help you if you're just not willing to do anything. But if you succeed, you do well. That now encourages people to succeed at all times. When things are plenty, they try to succeed more. When things are scarce, they try to succeed more. And so that actually creates an incentive structure where people thrive. And again, we drew a line, North Korea, South Korea. At night, you can see the difference.
Yeah. East Germany, West Germany before
East Germany, West Germany.
Unified.
Yeah.
We've got these. That's the thing it's so amazing that we live in the 21st century and that we are seeing like the rising re-examination of communism as, hey, maybe this is worth taking a second look at.
Yeah.
I am becoming an old man who just sees everything and saying, well, that's just a bunch of commie stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Norm Macdonald was.
Oh, you settle
show.
into it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
oh, that sounds like a bunch of commie
That's all,
gobbledygook.
Yeah. No, I also increasingly sound like my father, but for good reason, because our fathers were right. And yeah, I think maybe it was Mark Twain who said history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. I'm sure it was someone else at this point, but whoever said that, I think the reason that history rhymes is because a lot of people just don't read. And so we end up in these cycles where people go, well, hey, maybe we should try collectivizing, or maybe we should try hating other people, or maybe we should try whatever the thing was.
Right.
And when those of us who have actually read history go, actually, that's not a good idea, they go, you don't know what you're talking about. And then they move on.
You're an old head.
That is, yes, you're an old head. How could you possibly know anything? I just got here. I'm much smarter than you. Libertarians have this very interesting thing. It's that we have a cycle where we will say this thing's going to happen. If you do this, this will happen. And people go, oh, you're insane. You're just a bunch of libertarians. You don't even win elections. That guy danced naked on stage. What are you talking about? And we go, no. If you look at the numbers we have here, if you do this, this will happen. We did this a lot during COVID. And yes. People will say, oh, no, that's not going to, you have no idea what you're talking. And then it happens. And everyone goes, we had no idea this was going to happen. And we go, yeah, okay, so anyway, this next thing, if you do this, this will happen. They go, you're insane. And it continues. It's the fun of being a libertarian.
There was, I recently caught up with Catherine Mangu-Ward from Reason, and I've been inclined to sort of mock those who like to claim that, oh, we've been living in this like laissez-faire America since 1980
yes.
when Reagan and Thatcher across the pond, and it's the neoliberal revolution.
Yeah.
She did point out something that I think is true, which is that there was a kind of, you could say, libertarian consensus that held in the aftermath of, I think, the inflation of the 70s and the Cold War and the fall of the wall, which was free trade is good.
Yep.
Stable money is good. So just printing money to pay your bills and letting prices go out of control as a result, not good.
Yep.
And that, essentially, free enterprise does mostly work. Maybe it needs to be regulated here and there, but it mostly works. It was sort of the neoliberal, it's called like the Washington consensus.
Yeah. We can thank Milton Friedman for a lot of that. Him and his crew helped to kind of mainstream that idea into, not just into the public discourse, but into DC culture for quite a bit of time.
It is interesting, actually, in thinking about that. Yeah, I guess in a certain sense, there was a kind of libertarian victory that happened.
There was a victory of sorts. The trade-off, all things have trade-offs. The trade-off is that people now say that was laissez-faire free market capitalism. It was no such thing. The good parts of it were, but the parts that led to massive inflation or capture of markets or capture of agencies by multi-trillion-dollar corporations, all of that was when the government was trying to regulate that or set prices or try to subsidize something. That led to, again, perverse incentive structures that made bad things happen. But all of the good things, like the fact that we had massive amounts of job creation during that time, the fact that we had so many people coming here for economic opportunities, even from other first world countries, because we are that much wealthier than just about everywhere else on earth.
Yeah.
That was the part of how free it was. All the bad things that ultimately can be immediately traced back to the government trying to saying, well, but we still know better than everyone, so we should be regulating it. And then the perverse incentive structures that come from that.
In terms of sort of public intellectual economists that make this argument, oh, we've had laissez-faire, I think Joe Stiglitz is probably the one that sticks out to me.
Yeah.
He's got a new book called The Road to Freedom. That this seems to be a new tact that's being taken, Gavin Newsom, like, we're the freedom state.
Wait, so is this like he's doing the road to serfdom, but in reverse? Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I definitely have to read that aloud.
And the claim that gets made, and he makes it in the book, as I understand it, but in his public promotion of the book is, well, you can't have freedom without rules. And so the laissez-faire people, these crazy libertarians, they don't believe in having rules.
Yes.
They haven't even thought about the notion of rules. So if you want freedom, you need rules. And, we've got a bunch of great rules we can impose on everyone for their freedom.
Yes.
Of course, for their freedom.
Nothing says laissez-faire capitalism like the hundreds, probably millions at this point, millions of pages of codes and laws and regulations, so much so that it is literally impossible for any human being to even know what all the laws and regulations and codes are. And which is why it always amazes me when people will say things like, do it the right way, do it the legal way. And it's like, no one actually knows. We're all committing crimes accidentally, but it's okay because no one else knows it's illegal either. It's like some weird, like Kafka-esque thing where we're all criminals and don't even realize it. And so that's what I would say to the whole, we're laissez-faire. When it comes to rules, we're not against, there's this claim or this phrase that we use a lot. We're not against rules, we're against rulers. I want to put a little finer point on that because that's an easy one to ask lots of questions about. We aren't against the fact that human beings are going to create boundaries. We want those boundaries to be created by the actual stakeholders, like the property owner or a group of people who have decided to come together voluntarily and create a venture together, as opposed to someone who's not the least bit involved, hundreds or thousands of miles away, who doesn't really have any incentive for whatever they're regulating to do well at all, and who then can be easily captured to use those regulations to help the most powerful at the expense of everyone else. That's what we're saying. We're not saying that there shouldn't or that there aren't going to be rules. We're saying the people that are coming up with those rules are the people that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, and it's going to be so easy for the very people that we think these regulations are going to be protecting us from. They're actually just going to capture that agency and control it from the top.
That seems like one of the central tension points between, I think, honest, like good faith progressives and good faith sort of classical liberal libertarians.
Yep.
Is, does the government serve to be a check on private actors that are trying to be a predator, or does it serve as a magnifier?
Yeah.
And I think progressives will ultimately say, we need a big, robust government because otherwise we'll just have oligarchy. We've got these giant multinational corporations. Yeah. And so only the government, which at least is representative because of democracy, so it represents all of us, can stand up to the Googles and the Apples and the Amazons of the world and have we the people's interest in mind, because that's what it says on the documents, and because I went and voted a couple of years ago. And so I'm sure the president knows that when I voted, I meant to say I don't want to pay more for my Amazon Prime account. That's, the information's embedded in there somewhere.
It's obviously in there.
I'm mocking it already, which is not fair to me. But I do think that is the argument.
Yes.
And we do live in a world of very large companies that can do quite a bit to manipulate us, to, I wouldn't necessarily say impinge on us, but we can't escape the fact that there's a bunch of big companies out there that impact our lives. Cell phone companies, the health insurance companies. Yep. How do you
just debunked their argument? So they will, and these are, I'm saying the good faith progressives, not the ones who are in on it. The actual good faith progressives will, in one breath, say that the government is captured by large multinational, multi-trillion-dollar corporations. They're using the regulations to make the agencies look the other way, which is why it's so weird that they're against the ending of Chevron deference. But anyway, they're so mad that the agencies are looking the other way, and then if they do regulate, it ends up harming us and helping the big corporations, and that's why we need government to be even more involved. And let's go back to first principles here. If you want to buy something, I think just about everyone would recognize that if you want to buy something, it's best to have a variety of competing options to choose from, because they have a vested interest in trying to get your business. You don't want to only have one option. Yeah. Government is not only a monopoly, it's not only one option, it is a violent monopoly that imposes its authority through violence and threats of violence, and it is financed through extortion. So not only are they the only game in town for any service they're telling you that they're providing, but you also don't have an option to opt out. At least with another monopoly, you go, you know what, I just don't need that. If I don't need that thing, I just won't get it. Government doesn't give you that option. You have to pay. You have to obey and comply. You have to, buy whatever it is they're telling you to buy if they've mandated it. And so what government does is it creates this end run around the market. If I'm a successful company, I reach a point where I go, okay, this is about the amount of market share I can get through normal means, through serving the consumer. I'm going to have smaller competitors. They're going to be able to be more agile. They don't have the legacy costs that I have because I've been around, my company's been around for 100 years. All of these things, I'm going to start losing market share unless I spend pennies at capturing these agencies and get hundreds of dollars back in subsidies, market share protection, mandates, favors from politicians. I would be, in one way, it would be, if I'm wanting to grow my market share and I don't have any ethics or morals, I would be a fool not to do it. And actually, at first, I may do it just to survive. I don't want them regulating me into losing my business. Well, once I've got that bit of a hook in there, well, why wouldn't I use it to, give some benefits for myself? The nature of government is that it is a centralization of power and authority. So the more power and authority you give it, the more anyone trying to seek power and authority are going to get it, not by trying to serve the needs of the many to get back money and get back compensation for it and growth through merit, but instead to do an end run and just seek the people that are getting those positions of power and authority. And it reaches a point where it inverts, and now the people are actually going to get elected to those positions of power and authority to have good relations with those multinational corporations. Any large government, even the so-called communist governments in the USSR, and we're seeing it now in China, they are ultimately captured by their corporations there. That's the rich, wealthy, and powerful will always seek power to retain it. So what you want to do is diffuse that power out to individual human beings through their role as a member of the market, so that now people, if they want that money, they have to serve the market, serve us, serve the consumer.
If you like this clip, we've got so much more where that came from. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss our new videos as they come out each week.